Comic Book Savant, Comic Sense, Trade Review. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. In this episode, we're going to be doing a trade review, and I'm going to be reviewing Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2. This is published by DC Comics. This has been a part of their Earth 1 initiative. They've done quite a few different books. They're not in the main timeline or the main timeline of the DC universe, and I don't even know what that encompasses now with Future State and all the other stuff and Rebirth and whatever. It's so confusing at this point, but this is basically top creators and creatives going off doing their own interpretations of some of the greatest DC characters of all time. And this volume that I'm covering is Green Lantern. This is the second volume. The first one was one of my favorite books of last year, or year before last, excuse me. I keep forgetting how crazy last year was. The year before, 2019. So they follow it up with this volume that I had a chance to read. It retails for about $16.99, which you can normally find online way cheaper. It's 143 pages. This is not out in individual issues. You only can buy these original graphic novels. It is written by Corinna, I hope I pronounced this correct, Bechko and Gabriel Hardman. The artwork is handled by Gabriel Hardman. Colorist is Jordan Boyd. And the lettering is done by Simon Bolin. And the breakdown for the book is as follows. In the sequel to the best-selling 2018 original graphic novel, Hal Jordan and John Stewart must team up to save the galaxy from an invading force. Manhunters, alien races, rings of power. It's a lot for people of Earth to absorb, especially when the interplanetary incident forces their protector, Hal Jordan, to leave on a rescue mission that results in the discovery that there's a new player in the galaxy, the Yellow Lanterns. So if you're unfamiliar with the concept of Earth 1, like I said, it reminds me kind of in a way, but I feel like it's kind of done a little bit better on a smaller scale than what Marvel tried to do with the Ultimate Universe some years ago. Ultimate Spider-Man was a huge success, but some of the other books kind of faltered. With this line, I feel like, as far as the ones that I've read, they've all been really good in their own, kind of pocket. Things are going to be changed up. That's the whole purpose, is the kind of, condensing all the years of history and making it more digestible to maybe someone that's coming in new to comics and wanted to learn about Green Lantern or Wonder Woman or Batman. And I didn't have, when I picked up the first volume, I just picked it up on a whim. I just wanted to check it out. I like space and interplanetary stuff, so I thought it would just be cool. And I was just so blown away by the storytelling, the kind of Elseworld, if you want to call it that, take on the character, just that refresh of it. And it gave me vibes of the animated series they did some years ago. It only lasted one season, maybe 13 episodes. It was a Green Lantern show. It was on Cartoon Network, and it was CGI, and it was just really good. And reading it gave me kind of vibes of that show, which I really enjoyed and loved. That got canceled after a season. It put me in that mind space of that. So like I said, it's a good entry point if you just want to get a fresh story of and about the Green Lantern and Hal Jordan. And now, like I said, in this volume, they introduced John Stewart as well. The world definitely has, grown since the past volume. So it definitely was a passage of time. Different events has transpired. And then a lot of hate has come on to Hal from the events of the first volume. Definitely, like in the description, the world has changed. Not everyone is open to all this. You know, this guy has a power ring. He's a hero, but then it's aliens. It's just opening up people to a world they're just not ready to deal with. And he's created enemies because he's opened this up to Earth, and they're not ready. So events are set into motion to not just destroy Hal, but also the Green Lantern Corps itself. And we're introduced to none other than John Stewart, that must join with Hal to to try to resolve an interplanetary incident that happened that goes terribly awry when Earth tries to outreach to an alien race. Something happens, everything goes crazy. It's set up to look like Earth is the cause of it, that could tip off and lead into a interplanetary war, basically. So that's kind of the groundworks of the premise of the driving force in this particular volume, the main story that's going on. Bechko and Hardman build a great foundation and continue to build off of what they set up in volume 1, and expand it in ways that I didn't necessarily see coming or I could predict, which was cool. And I like the different takes that they have done so far. You know, in the first volume, even with like a character like Kilowog or Sinestro or Arisa, I hope I pronounced it correctly. I think it's Arisa. Just the different takes on the characters that is still relatively true to the character's core, but just enough where it makes sense for this world, this take on the world that they're doing for the character, which I just enjoy. The duo of the two writers do a good job introducing to us the new characters, at the same time continuing to develop the characters that we already gotten to know from the first volume, seeing them develop some and craft the overall very complex story. It's just not like, okay, I'm gonna close my eyes and read this in 5 minutes. It's a good read, but you're compelled. It's kind of intrigue. It's a little bit of mystery. It's a little bit of espionage. It's so much wrapped into what is only 143 pages. And like the first volume, I destroyed this. I like basically one sitting. It flows so smoothly between the art, the storytelling, the development of the characters. It just really pushes you. It's a book that you read that pushes you through it very easily and smoothly is, I guess, the best way to do it. Because sometimes certain books can be so dense, and I've talked about this before, and I know you guys can relate to me, is that when you read certain books, that they can be a slog to get through because they can be so meta or so dense, and it's so much on the page, just with written words or visuals, that it takes so much longer to get through it and be like, okay, I need a break. Let me step away from it and come back. This is just so fun. So intriguing. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat, wanting to read to the next page to keep seeing what happens. And then when you get to that last page, you're like, oh man, I can't wait for the next installment. And that's kind of where they do such a great job as writers pushing that through, because not all books can do that. It's a talent as a writer and as a creative team I feel like to do that in any medium nowadays, to keep you compelled from beginning to end. Gabriel Hardman, as I stated in my last review, has an art style that I had to get accustomed to at first, but it has grown on me in relation to this story, this world, and I couldn't really see anybody else drawing this book at this point, because his style it's just imprinted itself to me as the style I want to see when I grab a Green Lantern Earth 1 book. I want to see his artwork at this point. So like I said, but it did take adjustment, and definitely to the artists that normally have worked on different Green Lantern books, over time, they normally tend to have a more clean, not a scratchy, shadowy art style. They're more pronounced, smooth lines, like a John Byrne, rounded, just cleaner, more bright with the colors. This can have a dirty, dingy kind of feel, gritty feel to the artwork that takes definitely for what you're accustomed to when it comes to Green Lantern is a definite different visual style. But like I said, I've just grown so accustomed to it at this point that it seems synonymous. So if they had another person step in to do art duties on the next book, it would definitely be something else to get adjusted to, because after 2 volumes of getting accustomed to his artwork and his language of the world he built, anything different would just seem foreign at this point. I would have to say overall this original graphic novel series continues to impress with how the volume ended, and it definitely seems like it's way more stories to tell if given a chance. I hope it does well as the first one did, that we can get a 3rd volume sometime in maybe 2022. I cannot go out on a limb and say this is my book of the year like volume 1 was for me in 2019 when I did get a chance to read it and review it, but it's up there. Like I said, based on my experience with volume 1 and volume 2, this is like one of those books, when I hear it's announced, it'll be on my list to get, hands down, until they steer me wrong, which 2 volumes in, they haven't at this point. I feel like if you haven't checked it out, definitely if you haven't read Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 1, get the dual pack, get them both, because I guarantee once you read the first volume, you're going to want to read the second, so you might as well go ahead and get them together. If you find them together, grab them. I can say that. I can highly recommend it based on that alone. For me, my rating, I would give it a 8.5 out of 10. It's just very strong. And like I said, these are not long reads. It's not a long history. You just have one other volume to read and to get this whole story. I think you do need to read volume 1 before you read volume 2, just to understand Hal's journey and how it influences his choices in the second volume. Do you have to? Because I think they do a fairly decent job in kind of giving you a flashback, or keeping, letting you know things that happened in the previous volume. But 143 pages is not a bunch to read. It's worth picking up and reading it for yourself instead of getting things through flashbacks and callbacks to the previous volume, especially when it's not that long. Like I said, both of these books put together is about a decent size trade, at this point. And a lot of times you can find these books for like half the price digitally, through Comixology. I don't know, and I'm looking to do a review because I ditched DC Universe, but now has been rebranded. I know now in the new service, DC Universe Infinite. I'm going to look to do a month trial on that to do a review. I know they said they were going to start offering trades, so I can't say if you're subscribed to that service. You can let me know if the trades for these are on that service. They've been out long enough, because I think they said the service would be 6 months behind the real life published physical books. So you should be able to, if you subscribe to that service, be able to find them on there as well. But definitely, like I said, you can find these for not retail relatively easily and pick up basically both volumes for the price of one regular retail price if you can catch the right sale. So definitely worth checking out. Let me know what you guys think. If you've read it already or you're looking to check it out, and once you do read it, let me know what you think about it. Because like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this volume as much as I enjoyed the first volume, for sure. As always, thank you guys for your continued support. As always, you can follow me on social media over on Twitter or Instagram at Comic Book Savant. Also, we have the Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Comic Book Savant, all one word. If you like the content that I create and you would like to support that, you can do that over on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Comic Book Savant. All the links to any of the things that I just mentioned are over on the website at comicbooksavant.com, so you can easily find anything you need to in relation to any of that kind of stuff. Again, your support has meant the world to me. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, you guys stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.